Hi YouTube, this is Darkon633. I'm back with from a little hiatus that I had. It's because I ended up getting cold 2 to 3 weeks ago, so I definitely recovered from that, but I was sick for a little while, so it was a little bit hard for me to really do things. Now we're going to take a look at the multi-pack, which contains the First Order Disguse of Rose, Tico, BB-9E, and BB-8. Now, from now on, we're actually going to take a look at the reviews a little bit differently on my channel. We're actually going to look at 3 different categories in a comparison and then final verdict. So, the first category we're going to take a look is presentation and contents. Now, presentation and contents pretty much goes about like the box and what it is in general, so there's nothing too different from here. Second, we're going to take a look at the features, so basically what the toys does, if it's a transformer, how it transforms, etc. And for Star Wars, just articulation, a few other things. And then 3, we're going to take a look at the overall value of the set. So it depends on what it is, obviously. We're going to go with the value and see if it's really worth the price that it's asking for. And then we're going to go on my final verdict. So first, we're going to take a look at the presentation and contents. So now we're going to take a look at the presentation and contents. So first, we're going to take a look at the box first. The box is in your standard multi-pack, although obviously since it does technically have 3 figures, you end up getting 2 astromech-like droids, or just droids in general, and then obviously a standard figure. We got the box as normal, so you're not going to get a whole lot of difference on that. And we're going to take a look at the contents itself. What comes in this set is obviously Rose Tico herself, BB-9E, BB-8, the stand for the actual heavy gunner unit, the gun itself, and the little back end piece. The only other accessory that the figure includes is her blaster. So overall, I think this is a pretty decent set, although it might be a little bit off compared to other multi-packs, so you ended up getting 2 smaller, non-regular figures. Unless you're a fan of astromech-like droids, you're not going to get a whole lot from the set in the overall box. So I think I'm going to give this about a 4 out of 5 on that category. Next, we're going to go on with the features. Since the actual droids are a lot easier to go on first, we're going to take a look at the droids first. So now we're going to take a look at BB-8. So the head is on a standard ball joint, although it's universal, so you do have a lot of movement there. He does have the force link ability there, which we're going to take a look at after we take a look at the figures. So you're not going to get a whole lot, although this does feel a little bit bigger than the previous releases, and it's really nice. It's not coming in the camera very well, but it does have this glossy finish. So I find that very awesome that this version of BB-8 is definitely kind of superior in my opinion compared to the other releases. Next, we're going to take a look at BB-9E. Now, this is an actual droid that was featured in the film, which did have a pretty decent but still minor role. Articulates the exact same thing as you've seen with BB-8, so it does have the universal joint there, and it does have the Force Link chip there as well, or whatever it goes with that. I'm not quite sure exactly how these work, if there's a small chip or not, but I think it is. Now we're going to take a look at Rose Tico. Articulation on her, she does maintain the standard ball joint, with not much hindrance. She does have swivels at the shoulders and at the hips. So it's pretty much what you get for a 5 POA figure. She does include the blaster, which can be placed into her holster. So that's pretty good, and she does hold on to it pretty decently. She does have a little bit of hard time standing because of her stance, so that is kind of annoying, but it does what it needs to do. The blaster itself is nothing too spectacular in terms of overall function. Unfortunately, the blaster is made of this gummy plastic, so it's very easy to warp. This piece also doesn't like to stay on very well, and neither does the actual back end piece. It does have a little bit of articulation there, since you can position it in different ways, but you're not going to get a whole lot of this unit itself. So, overall, I think the overall set is pretty good, although it might not be as good since you're ended up getting 2 smaller figures along with it. But otherwise, that pretty much covers the features on their own. Now we're going to take a look at the Force Link sounds. So, here we have the Force Link bracelet, which is not turning on for some reason. For some reason, sometimes this thing is a little glitchy, so I'm going to have to fiddle around with the battery compartment for a second. So let's see why it's causing that. There we go. So, looks like one of the batteries were a bit loose. So now we're going to take a look at the sounds first. So, first we're going to take a look at BB-8. It's a little hard to activate though, it's really annoying about this Force Link bracelet. I really don't know what's causing this thing to not work, but There we go. So you're not going to get a whole lot of sound since it is an astromech-like droid. Next, we're going to take a look at BB-9E, which does have its own set of sounds. Trying to get the chip to work. Sometimes it just does not like to read. So you pretty much get the idea for BB-9E. Next, we're going to take a look at Rose Tico.
I'm ready for my mission. Quiet. We have to... Take cover. I'm ready for my mission. We have to get out of here. Take cover. We have to get out of here. Take cover.
So that pretty much covers the sounds. You're not going to get a whole lot from the bracelet itself, but each of them do have a decent amount of sounds attached to them. Although obviously since the droids do not have a talking role, you're not going to have any actual phrases out of them. But overall, in terms of features, I think this set does pretty good, and I think I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 since it does what it needs to do. And now the final category is value. Since you ended up getting 2 smaller figures along with the standard size figure, it might seem a little bit undervalued, but it does include a pretty decent stand and gun unit which can be used with your first order units, and at least the characters are relevant to the scene that pretty much the figures are based for, so I actually kind of give it a 5 out of 5 just because of what it does, even if it's around the $13 to $50 price point, depending on some stores you go to. And now, while this isn't going to be graded on my scale, we're just going to go with some comparisons. Since I don't have the Rose that's included with the Battle of Crate set, the only other Rose I will compare it to is the standard release, and there goes the Force-Link Gauntlet. So it is a pretty good likeness to the actress once again, although obviously it is a little bit harder to actually do in this small scale in my opinion. And I think they did a pretty decent job, and it's just nice that we got another variant of Rose, since she did have a major role in the film, even if it was a little bit of an iffy choice to do so. Now we're going to take a look at the BB-8s. Turns out I was wrong. This BB-8 is actually smaller, just a tad bit from the older releases, but the glossy finish really does help the overall presentation of BB-8, and I think it works well in general since it does feel less cheap than what we got with the previous releases. Since there is no other BB-9E and I don't have the one from the Disney Parks multi-pack, I have nothing else to compare that to, but although this isn't a comparison, we're actually going to take a look at the unit that comes in the set, and if you happen to have the First Order Heavy Gunner Trooper, I think. I'm not exactly sure what this was called. I forgot what he was called. It does work. And it's a nice way to actually get a hold of this actual blaster unit if you did not get the multi-pack that was released during The Force Awakens. So it's really nice that we got this overall. In conclusion, I think this is an okay set. It's definitely not the most epic set out of all the releases they released in The Last Jedi or just in general. You end up getting 2 exclusive, at least Hasbro Force-Link figures, since BB-8 has not been released anywhere else from what I could tell in the Hasbro line, and BB-9E is exclusive to the set in general. Obviously there is a Disneyland Parks version of BB-9E, so there is another way to get him in general, but in terms of this particular scale and by Hasbro themselves, I think this is the only way you'll be able to get a hold of it, and it's definitely the only way to get a hold of the Rose. This is an okay set in the long run. It's definitely something you might get on sale, but it's not something you probably need to go out of your way to get a hold of it. So in the end, I actually give this rating a recommended purchase. So that concludes my review overall. Hopefully this review will pick up, and I'll actually try better on the upcoming reviews, since this is my first one. I'm a little bit rusty on this. So anyways, please comment, rate, and subscribe, and check out Hero Club and Hero Taku. Also check out Twitter Darkon633, and don't forget to check out the other channels down below. Please check the little bell at the bottom of the screen in order to see that content go up as soon as possible. And I'm back with more Star Wars reviews, but for now, I'll be seeing you later, YouTube. Bye.